Hello and welcome into Battlehawks Hub Weekly. My name is Luke Slabaugh. I'm a journalist, proud to be joining Sports Hub STL, bringing you a weekly St. Louis Battlehawks football show. And I've got to introduce my co-host, making her debut on the airwaves, Judy Strawder. She is all about St. Louis. She is excited to be here. I'm excited to work with you, Judy. Really excited to get this show off the ground. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks at home?
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So, hi, Judy. I have been born and raised in St. Louis. So, the sports scene comes natural to me. My first love started with Cardinal baseball. And from there, just kind of segued into football. When the Rams became the greatest show on turf, I kind of was that bandwagon fan, and turns out love football, love the Rams. Spent several years loving them until they broke my heart. So St. Louis sports gave me my first love and my first heartbreak. And then anybody that knows about heartbreak knows it kind of takes a little bit to get over it. So it really wasn't until the Battlehawks came in 2020 that I was like, you know what? I'm ready to move on. Like, I'm really ready to love football again. And from the start, just loved it. Was super bummed whenever COVID hit and it left and crumbled and, all of those things. But 2023, my dreams came true again. And, just had the most fun ever going to the games. Definitely loved following the team. It was just also really exciting that the very first game that they started with was a comeback win, and it was the XFL rules that actually, helped us win. So from there, I mean, it was easy to be in love. As my Battlehawks love has grown. I tailgate, I have season tickets. If you see me at a tailgate or at the games, you know that I'm all in. I even got myself a Battlehawks Grill that you can catch me in. So I just absolutely love everything sports and everything St. Louis. And I think we all know that the call is law.
Law is law. But the most important part that you might have left out, Judy, that every St. Louis person must ask, where did you go to high school?
I am a proud Rockwood Summit alumni. Go Falcons. Go Falcons. I will say that, I have been living in Jefferson County for the last 16 years and some kind of part of Lion Nation now.
Totally respect that. I grew up on the west side of town, would have gone to Parkway Central out there in Chesterfield. However, I went to the St. Louis Priory School and then went to the best journalism school that the world has to offer, MIZ. Yeah.
ZOU.
And that's the thing, like, you want to rep the hometown. I've always wanted to rep the hometown. I did some work for the last couple of years at the FanDuel Sports Network Midwest, formerly Bally Sports. Well received and wonderful network there that's partnered with the Cardinals for a long time. And now this is a new venture, a radio show that you broadcast on YouTube as well. I'm excited to spread the message about the St. Louis Battlehawks. And I want to touch on something, Judy, that you just said. St. Louis is through and through a football town, and it has that
Yes.
tradition. And the Battlehawks, why we love them so much, is that they're more than just a team, they're a movement. Now, I remember when the Rams left in 2015, and I remember the electricity. I was working in Oklahoma at the time, but in 2020 for the XFL to return. And I'm excited to spread the word now about the UFL and the Battlehawks because we have a unique opportunity here to bridge the gap between the UFL and the fans on the ground in St. Louis. The team practices at a hub in Arlington. It's very hard for them to connect person to person. They do the best that they can. And we're going to connect with some great people all season long, players, staff, personnel, broadcasters. But I want to capture the heart of the team and the heart of this town. And I can't think of anyone better to work with on this venture than you.
Oh, thanks, Luke. I'm very excited to, have someone that's, from St. Louis that kind of, as just your, regular person, they, have the experience to, really make this a great podcast. And I'm just super stoked to share my fandom.
So we're looking at the team this year, big picture going into the 2025 season. They're coming off back-to-back 7-3 campaigns, made the playoffs a season ago, lost to San Antonio. And
That was a
this
heartbreaker.
feels, yeah, and a very low scoring affair there. But now that we're in present day 2025, I'm looking big picture here and I'm thinking that in order for the UFL model to work, all these non-NFL markets have to
Mhm.
work and get on board with the plan as well. And I'm talking not just St. Louis, but San Antonio, Memphis,
Yep,
Birmingham, the teams that
100%.
aren't represented by major market NFL teams. And so far, I think that St. Louis has lived up to that bill in terms of attendance, in terms of merchandise, in terms of social media support. The Battlehawks lead all that. But the product on the field has to reflect that fan buy-in. What do you
Yeah.
see from the team this year?
And I think that what you just said is 100% true for St. Louis, that while we are always all in and we will show up and support, we're also not stupid fans. So if the product's not on the field, we're not going to support it. It's just, it is what it is. And when you talk about the attendance numbers, I mean, us combined almost, or combined with all the teams, we were right there for all of our home games, for every other team's attendance records. I like to go watch them get off the bus, and hearing some other executives talk that if we could just get all these teams to just do what St. Louis does, then it would just be a booming league. Which then you talk expansion and all of that good jazz. So the product on the field is huge. I'm so super excited about a lot of the returning players that we have this year. Definitely cannot wait to see what we're doing QB wise. It was kind of a hard break with McCarron, but future is the future. Now is now. So excited to see what Duggan can do. Trying to see if Manny's gonna man up and make things happen.
Yeah, Manny Wilkins, the returning backup. I'm excited to see him play. Max Duggan, of course, at TCU was a Heisman finalist and latched on with the Chargers. And Chevin Cordero, out of San Jose State University. Coach Beck was on the show last week and was very high on each one of those candidates. And the team's already announced its 50-man roster for the opening weekend down in Houston. They're returning 5 all-conference players. And it's exciting to see the program that they've built, quote unquote. I know that's used mainly in college, but you do start to see continuity and you start to see fans really latch onto these players, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to see who is favorited with the jerseys at the stadium. I mean, it's not just t-shirts. I mean, people have jerseys and they have their favorite players, and it's just really cool because when you start buying jerseys, that's how you know you're all in. That's when you know the buy-in is there.
What jerseys you got going on, Judy?
I'm a McCarron fan, so I've got my McCarron jersey. I haven't decided where I want to go this year for my jersey, but yeah, I was number 10 all the way.
I remember him just capturing the heart, and his now wife, Catherine Webb, capturing the heart of the nation
Yeah.
when Alabama was playing Notre Dame in that national championship game many years ago before he had a nice NFL career. Uh,
Yep.
2022, the year before the Battlehawks came back in this UFL, XFL at
Longest
the
year
time.
ever. Longest
Yeah,
year ever without spring football.
right. With that, I live just about a block away from the Dome. I was there at Ninth and Olive. Actually, there's that Schnucks there at the corner in downtown
Yep.
St. Louis. And so I remember walking by the former Edward Jones Dome, now the Dome in America Center. The occasional concert would walk through, and there was just this feeling that St. Louis was getting its swagger back, especially before the COVID pandemic. The Blues had won the Stanley Cup. The Cardinals were in a good part right now. But in 2022, you had Albert back and playing baseball with Yachty and Wayno, and there was just some aura there that you were just hoping, man, if football can really complete this shape that we've got going on downtown,
For
it
sure.
really does seem like the last puzzle piece there for football to be prolific and continuous there in the Dome.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 2023 was also just a huge year for St. Louis, and the fact that not only did we get football back, but we also got the St. Louis City, and these that's just where I'm saying like St. Louis shows up when it's great, it shows up, and it does. Like now we're just this cohesive. As a matter of fact, I have representing everything on one cup. So exciting. But that is, I mean, you're exactly right. That's the puzzle piece that was missing.
I've got a set under construction here. You can see behind me. I got the Battlehawks flag
I
over my
did
shoulder.
see
A
that.
couple of bobbleheads. There's a Vladimir Tarasenko one in blue, unboxed Jordan Biddington on a motorcycle from the Stanley
Oh,
Cup parade, and
fun.
then a couple other of Easter eggs and stuff mixed in there. See if you at home can figure those out. But Judy, there's something that you mentioned a couple minutes ago that I want to touch on again. Is the opportunity that this league affords, and you mentioned expansion, that's obviously the best case scenario if the
Yeah.
league can work something out with other smaller medium markets that love football. But it's kind of a last chance you thing here, right? Where you've got players either from the National Football League or undrafted out of college, or players looking for a second chance, their way to break back into the pros. And we saw it with McCarron, and we've seen it with others as well. Hakeem Butler, who's back with the team, but a great a receiver
88.
in this league. The guys that are looking for that next shot at life. And this is something, a storyline that you can follow every year with Battlehawks football.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. I think, well, Dwayne Johnson said that was one of his big reasons for wanting to be a part of the group that rebuilt it, was because exactly that. He had an NFL dream, didn't make it, and just thought, what if I had another chance? Like, obviously we know he wants to have a great acting career, but what if I had another chance? And I definitely think that that's what is so cool about this, is that these guys, they go on the field and they're giving it their all. I mean, it's because it's their second chance. It's very exciting.
There's a couple of players that are looking for their next chance at the big time that I want to get into, and I'll let you give your thoughts and players that you've got an eye on as well. But the first one that comes to mind when I look at the roster, and the one player that I'll have my eye on this week, this Friday when they play at Houston, is the place kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship. Now, I'm
Yes.
familiar with him, having covered SEC football for a long time. He was at Georgia right before that dynasty really kicked in for the Bulldogs. They were winning the division, but had not yet won a national championship. A perfect 200 for 200 on extra points as a college football player for the Georgia Bulldogs, and then bounced around Indianapolis, Arizona, Tampa Bay. Spent most of last year, though, as a TikTok star, doing his workouts and showing that he still had the ability to be a place kicker in professional football through short form video and reels. And this is an indispensable part of the United Football League. Special teams have been very important. Of course, the Battlehawks have the reigning special teams player of the year on defense for them.
Mhm.
So this is an incredible opportunity for Rodrigo. The goggles, the personality, the demeanor, someone that you would love to be a rock at the Dome.
Yes, definitely cannot wait to see what he does. But also, too, St. Louis is an experience, and you can hear about it and read about it. But when you experience, all of a sudden, you have that all in, that total buy-in. And I can't wait for him, as a guy that does have a larger than life personality and all this excitement, what he's going to do for this city as he realizes, dude, this is like the best ever. Like, what have I been missing out on forever? So I'm also just excited to see how much he turns around and loves St. Louis too.
He'll be the first St. Louis kicker to experience a new playing surface at the Dome as well. New AstroTurf installed there. I think the same that Mizzou has up in Columbia. I remember a couple of years ago, Pat McAfee was talking on his show about his experience with the Colts traveling to the then Edward Jones Dome and playing the Rams, and just how much that turf, the locker room, the atmosphere felt kind of claustrophobic and insular and just not safe for him. But now you've got all new LED lighting. You've got an elevated game day experience, and hopefully something that plays well to the home kicker and maybe the Cacaw team and all those fans out there will intimidate opposing kickers and special teams.
I mean, for sure. Well, also Steve's hot dogs will be on site. So, and those opposing teams can also just, again, all the great things St. Louis has to offer.
How good are those?
The best. They're so yummy.
Probably synonymous with Ted Drews at this point. Another player I had my eyes on, and I covered him on a fringe when he was at college, Big 12 star in his own right. Denzel Mims joins the
Okay.
team as a receiver, only 27 years old, was a second round pick in 2020 by the Jets, but had many lingering hamstring issues and injuries while he was in the pros. Eventually requested a trade in 2022 when they drafted Garrett Wilson. That ended up being a good move for the Jets, but never really lived up to his billing as a mainstay receiver and latched on with a couple of practice squads, but no touchdowns in his NFL career. And now, just a few years removed from that, is able to carve a new path for him, was at Baylor for college. Just a very intriguing prospect in this NFL style West Coast hybrid offense.
Yeah, super exciting. I mean, the fact that he's with the Jets kind of, says it all, why it all fell apart. But it's and I actually honestly I don't know much about him, so I will kind of see if he makes those explosive plays and becomes the person that I do have my eye on.
He profiles really well. They've got some length at that position. He's 6'3", and Hakeem Butler, I think it's 6'6" listed officially.
Mhm.
Just incredible talent. I'm very excited for what that team brings on the skill side.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. For the returning players, because I do have a lot of my own, favorites that are back, and I am so excited that they're here. And that's exactly it. Like, we have enough returning players that have been here for a couple of years that are going to set that veteran tone status that will help really make the team successful this season, because that's what you need. I mean, you also need, for as much as you need that hungry young newness, you also need that veteran presence, those folks that kind of can explain everything to you. So I think that we have a really good mix of that this year. We did even a lot of returning players. Several of them didn't make the 50-man roster. So definitely we have a great mix of new and veteran. So excited to see what they can do.
I'm excited as well. We got Brian Stull, the Director of Communications for the Battlehawks, standing by. But first, it's time for ad copy. Sports Hub STL, excited to announce we're having a weekly Battlehawks show, post-game show after each season. And our coverage brought to you by what else? Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. With the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box, you can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets. Plus, get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for only $8.99, only at Lee's, famous for chicken. Pleased to be joined by the Director of Communications for the St. Louis Battlehawks, one Brian Stull. He was a staple in sports media in St. Louis, and he still is, you might add, on the digital and the radio side. Someone who we're very excited to partner with all year long. Brian, thank you so much for being our official guest on this show.
No, Luke and Judy, great to see you guys. How are you today?
Fantastic, Brian. Thank you so much. So the Dome has been your office now for the last couple of years. And when we think of communications directors, we think press releases, but we also think stats. But in your specific position, you've got this community outreach portion of your job. You are spreading the word and trying to get this brand as big as it can. So what is it like for you taking on so many different hats and wearing so many different hats to make football so successful in St. Louis once again?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, again, it's not just me. It's a full team effort from the Battlehawks front office. There's actually only 9 of us. So I think some people sometimes think that there's, like 40, 50 people that are behind the efforts here, boots on the ground year round in St. Louis, but there's 9 of us. So it's very much a collaboration. It's a lot of energy from everybody, but we do get to wear a lot of different hats, but it's never boring. It's always exciting. And there's always a sense of pride that, there's a much larger objective, a holistic sort of approach where that your small part. We're not making any tackles. We're not throwing any passes. We leave that to coach and the guys to take care of all the action on the weekends. But you try and play your small part just to help keep football alive and well in St. Louis.
Well, I mean, how has this experience been leading up to camp here in 2025? And of course, breaking ground, the team playing in Houston this coming Friday. How would you evaluate, the state of the team and how they're looking heading into this season?
I think everybody's pretty amped up. I was down in training camp for a couple of weeks watching them in action and just talking with the guys as they're getting ready for everything Friday night. Again, 7:00 will be the kickoff on Fox, so hopefully everybody's tuning in to watch that. And I heard you guys talking a little bit earlier, and there's 18 new players on the team, so there has been some turnover. But you do have that big core group that's returning. 3 of those players are back from 2023 that we didn't see last year. When you look at a Nate Metters, you look at a Lucas Dennis, as well as a Gary Jennings, those are all players that are very capable of having a big impact on games. So they will be back. And then you have the likes of, again, defensively, Willie Harvey and Mike Rose and Travis Feeney and Pita Taumui Penu. And you think about what Q Cole and Cam Kelly brought last year. I'm going to name everybody on the roster as I keep going through, but
you definitely
that's
named some of my favorite players.
Yeah, no, and I mean, but that's the excitement. And offensively, this time last year, we didn't really know who Jacob Sailors was, and he went on to lead the league in rushing. So Jacob is back, and when you look at a Jarvian Howard, who is about the same height as Jacob, I mean, they might be a couple inches apart, but Jarvian is as solid a 221 as you will ever see, and a very hard north and south runner. And Kevon Latulis, again, a guy who was with the Battlehawks in camp last year. The numbers, again, it's tough when you've got to trim down to 50 guys. It's hard. Coach Beck has talked at length about how every player that was brought into training camp, he felt deserved to be there, deserved to be on a team, but there's just literally not room for everybody. So tough decisions were made. But again, Kevon Latulis was a guy who didn't make the cuts out of camp last year, came on late, was big on special teams. He's in the mix at running back this year. Perfect example. I mean, you can't get any better than a Chris Garrett, who got cut, wasn't with the team in week 1, and then he becomes the special teams player of the year. And coach has been very clear that CG is going to see a lot of time at linebacker as well. Don't think of him as only a guy who can block punts, which he does really well. So as again, we're talking all these different names, and you want to talk about a Denzel Mims. Yeah, excited to see what this guy can do. Sam Wiglis, don't overlook him. Again, a guy with some NFL experience, played at Ohio State, played at Ohio, was a high school friend. He's known Mike Rose. They grew up together. So they're buddies hanging out. They're excited. I mean, all the Frank Darby is a super high energy guy. Again, some NFL experience at wide receiver, can come in and you look at all these elements. Chase Allen at tight end. I still don't know. I know everybody wants to know who's going to play quarterback. Coach hasn't announced that yet. All 3 guys have been taking reps. They all
I
make
thought
a case for all of them. Go ahead.
So I thought that I read that the Duggan and Wilkins were starting on Friday. I thought that I saw something come
You
through.
can only start one, though. So I don't know who's going to be under center for those first snaps. You're right. Coach has said it's come down to the 2 of them. Chevin will be dressed. He's the emergency quarterback. But in terms of who will actually take that first huddle, take that first snap, I don't know. We're going to wait and find out. But, all 3 of them bring a pretty nice pedigree to the table. Huh?
Who's your bet on who's gonna take the snap?
You know what? I just hold the clipboard and carry the water. That's all I do.
Oh, come on. You have a 50-50 shot here. You can't. Come on.
I have a 50-50 shot of guaranteeing that somebody would be upset with me. That's what I would
know. Okay. Okay.
But,
well, I'll come out. Somebody can be upset with me. I'll come out and say it. I think Max is starting.
He might. I mean, again, they've all looked good. They've all had moments. It's like legitimately, you can make an argument for any of them. But coach gets to make that decision. He and Phil McKagan, our offensive coordinator, everybody's really excited about what he's been bringing to the table as well. There's just a great buzz. I mean, I'm sure every team feels this way at the start of the season. They should. You hope for that. But I think our guys in particular, there are a lot of third-year returnees here, and I think they took that step last year. They've talked about it. They reached the playoffs, and that was a goal. There's progress. You go 7-3, but last year make the playoffs. Coach has been adamant, like, now you want to take that next step, and the next step is getting to the championship. So nothing is being taken for granted.
Yeah, I just kind of since Manny has started in the past, I really feel like coach wants to see what Max is going to do on the first snap. I'm taking my bet right now. Max is starting.
Well, Brian, we appreciate your insight on that. We want to keep some of this stuff off the record as well, obviously, for the state secrets on the team there, but wishing them all the best on Friday in Houston. Let's talk a little bit about the home opener coming up this Sunday, the 6th. We've heard about new LED lighting in the stadium, new concessions offered, new vendors in and outside the stadium. Just a team of 9 people, you mentioned, Brian, but how is the game day experience going to go to the next level this season at the Dome?
Well, you mentioned new lighting down at the Dome. I think everybody, the Dome's excited about it. We're excited. Players, fans are going to see it. It is very bright. It is noticeably different. You will instantly, when you walk in, you're able to see just how lit up the Dome is. It looks absolutely beautiful. And that new turf, it's the same turf, same manufacturer, same family of turf that is at the University of Missouri that they've got for the Tigers. It's just there's a couple modifications because it's indoors versus outdoors. So it is a very bright green turf. It's got the latest safety features and everything. A couple of the guys have seen it. They really liked it. But with the lighting as well, it just lends itself to such a different atmosphere. There are some new effects that are going to be able to be employed. So during introductions, after the team scores, some of the different sort of effects that you can see really ought to lend itself to just some added energy this year.
Brian, you joined this organization for a reason. And we were talking that this isn't just a team, it's a movement. And when you go into the spring, you've got a lot of options. You've got NHL playoff hockey on the precipice for the Blues, hopefully. Cardinals baseball, sometimes matinees, professional soccer now. And yet, here you are helping lead a charge for this organization in the UFL. What unique opportunity do you see for this organization in this particular market?
Well, I think that we are fortunate to be in a market like St. Louis. And when I say St. Louis, I'm talking about the whole region because it's not just like a 30-mile or 50-mile radius. It is a Midwest sort of region. And to be honest with you, Battlehawk Nation stretches out into Montana because they're big Callahan O'Reilly fans, and up to the East Coast. I mean, it's all over. But in terms of people that are going to jump in their cars and drive, it's a Midwest reach, and that's not taken for granted. To be part of a community where they will support the Battlehawks, they will support the Cardinals, they will support the Blues, they will support City, they will support a golf tournament in town. If the World Chess Museum is having an event, all of these things can be happening in the same weekend, and St. Louis will show up and show out and be there for everybody. So that is just, you wake up every morning and that gives you an added bit of excitement, an added bit of pride to make sure that you're delivering to try and provide the best experience, because people do have options. Now, I will say there's only 6 St. Louis Battlehawk home games during the regular season. So some of those other games, you've got more opportunities to choose from. I know I'm going to be going to other games and everything, but I know what my 6 Battlehawk weekends are. They're going to be at the Dome because it's limited opportunity. So make sure if you haven't been before, give it a chance. I think you're going to love it. If you have been there before, we'll come back and bring a friend.
I think when you say give it a chance, you'll love it, that is undoubtedly the truth. I have teenagers who pretty much don't want to do anything and say everything's the worst or super lame. And I've even gotten them to go to Battlehawks games, and not just one. They loved it so much they want to go to multiple. So, giving it a chance is the best advice. Once you're there, the atmosphere is electric, and you can't wait to go to another one.
Yeah, and I mean it's really easy. You can go to uflbattlehawks.com. All the ticket information is there, all sorts of different price levels. It's really affordable. And if you want to paint your face and wear the feathers, we love it. Come on down. If you're one of those people that starts at 6 a.m. and tailgates and everything, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you're also like, hey, I've got a whole family, and whether it's teenagers or a 5-year-old, we're going to be unveiling the new flight deck this year. Which is going to be a kind of a family-focused area. It's going to have a lot of cool things. We'll be announcing it officially, but I'll share with you guys. The Magic House is going to be involved in there. So we really have something for everybody. Not to mention, the caliber of football is really, really good. So you're going to enjoy that. The energy that, again, the fans bring to the game. The players love playing there. And when I say the players, I don't just mean the Battlehawks. The Battlehawks absolutely love to play at home. And it is a home field advantage. But to be honest with you, every player in the league gets up to play in St. Louis because it's the biggest crowd of the year. So there is that added energy. So as much as you think it's just going to be a steamroll effect, the other side gets a little bit of extra juice out of it as well. But then, the volume goes up when they're on offense. And, we see some of those penalties and those things that the 12th man brings here in St. Louis.
Well, I love that challenge, and I love that passion that you bring here, Brian. I'm looking forward to working with you throughout the season, spreading the good word of St. Louis Battlehawks football. So, Brian Stull, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck this Friday.
Hey, we appreciate it. Good luck with the new venture over there. A lot of great people excited to see what you guys do. And remember, UFLBattlehawks.com. You can get everything there, but appreciate the time, and go Battlehawks.
And that'll do it for this week of Battlehawks Hub Weekly. Before we go, Judy Strawder, your TV, your radio debut. Final thoughts before we jump into UFL football for the next 10 plus weeks.
I'm super stoked. I can't wait. I loved actually that the Battlehawks website had a countdown clock. So, I would check it every day. So I would know my countdown. Like, I am so stoked. I'm so ready. The calendar's clear. Really, really excited, and just excited for to see how all the players do, and kind of, talk about that week after week, and just get everybody super stoked.
And if fans want to catch you outside the dome or inside the dome, where are they going to find you this year?
So inside the dome, I'm doing something a little bit different this year. And I'm just going to buy tickets before each game so I can kind of get a different experience throughout the whole season, get to meet new people and stuff like that. So I decided that I was going to do something a little different this year with that. So basically, you're just going to have to, catch me with the blue hair. When we do our next show, I'll wear the outfit that you can expect to see me in. But also too, I tailgate, the vest lat's not there anymore. So, but yes, I'm there at least 3 hours before game time, for the tailgating. So yes. Yeah. Next week, I'll wear the outfit you guys can expect to see me in.
And if you don't catch it on TV or at the game or at the dome or tailgating, Judy is going to join me for the post-game show after every Battlehawks game this season, starting with kickoff this Friday, 7 o'clock on Fox. They play at Houston, and then that following Sunday, April 6th, they host the San Antonio Brahmas at 5:30 p.m. kickoff on FS1. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Battlehawks Hub Weekly. For Judy Strawder, I'm Luke Slabaugh, saying thanks for joining, and the caw is law.